If you're using Withdraw, you're at least sort of, kind of protected, and you're already kind of on the way there. They are the second priority.
Don't try this at home.
Yeah. Traditional methods are the second priority. But if they're using absolutely no method, and especially if they're younger, so they've shown that the results are much better among 35 and younger. So they target the younger women first, like the newlyweds, the engaged, the pregnant women, because they have a better chance of getting them to accept. And then they have obviously a lot longer reproductive years ahead of them than the older women. You'll notice my 37 and 35-year-old were the ones that didn't switch. So in Turkey, like I said, we've got lots of people over here, a big group over here, and some people over here. So what they were able to do is go from about 45% modern prevalence to about 69% in 2 years.
In the project area.
In the project area, right. So when they did an evaluation, about 50% of the traditional users, as in this one, converted to modern. So they still are getting the traditional method users going to modern. And then even after they left, so they did a follow-up survey 2 years after they left the project area, and they found an additional 20% of these people, the traditional and no method people, had converted to modern methods even after they left. So there's also kind of the, even if they're not there visiting every month, there's still, you still have all that knowledge, you still have more people who are using, so more people are talking to their friends, and there's kind of that cascade effect.
Did they do some research on that to find out what was the actual reason those people moved over after the project had sort of left? Was it sort of social norm or talking to friends, or
I don't think they had that in the evaluation. I think that would be the founder's hypothesis, is there is a tipping point.
Right.
If you can get a certain, and when they have gone back, well after the project, and we are seeing that sustained increase. So even people who stuck with traditional methods, the 50%, 20% changed after the project closed. They moved on to modern methods.
And is IPC the only input to?
And I can talk, actually there's some input to the health services, and this is one of the huge differences between Turkey and where we work is that there are strong public health facilities. But there are inputs. They did do surveys among women, find out why they weren't using services, and a lot of things came to how they were treated in the services. So another input is they've started doing trainings of nurses and midwives in communicating, and there's in communicating with clients, and also there's a large incentive. They give feedback to facilities on what they've heard, and they do incentivize them to improve their performance. They give them targets, and if they have improved, they do give them financial grants to continue doing that. Certainly not the large-scale improvements we need to make in places where we work, but there are minimal inputs into the health services side. Maybe we can talk about...
So thank you so much for all our volunteers. You were so great.
Krishna, your question was great because it brings us really to, I think, our next point. Let's not show them what Lisa said. I'd like to hear from you. We've certainly seen impressive numbers from this. In the first 10 years of the project, they reached about 1 million women, and very impressive numbers in the communities where they worked. I'd like to hear from you, who are not working in Turkey, but in some other areas. What do you see as your takeaways from this model? What might be applicable? What are some positives, negatives? Manuel.
Well, I would say depend on the way you can motivate the people not to drop before the 18 months.
Right.
So I don't know if there is any motivation or any people who are following the community.
You mean the IPC worker themselves?
Yes, the IPC workers.
So how do you get the IPC workers not to drop out?
Yes.
And we had a lot of trouble getting, this is one thing we asked, like, how do you incentivize the IPC workers? And we got very indirect answers. I think they are given...
They're given some sort of monetary reward, but it's unclear as to how much that is and what it's tied to.
So is it tied to the number of women they talk to, the number of women who start using modern methods? But there are some incentives going on. And I think, one thing that our group commented, we had IPC workers from 11 countries. They really invest in the field educators too. They do a 3-week training and then another refresher training. And refresher trainings, I think it's every 6 months. They're treated well. They're taken seriously, and they're expected serious results. I think they're working in communities that are kind of poor, so this is